Threadbanger, it's me, Jessica, and today I'm going to show you guys how to do my t-shirt recon tutorial, which is the t-shirt tutu. Let's get started. First things first, you're going to need a couple of supplies, like one super baggy t-shirt for the tube top, and another super baggy t-shirt for the skirt. You're also going to need one tape measure, pins, and a needle and thread, or your handy dandy sewing machine. Now a tube top is 2 rectangles, and so to determine the size of your rectangle, you're going to need your bust measurement. Mine's 38. Then you're going to want to divide that by 2, which gives me 19. So you're going to want to measure that across the front of your shirt, however high up you want to get your graphic in. So mark 19 and 1. And then just make it go to the bottom of the shirt. If it's too long, you can trim it up later. Make sure you leave extra lengthwise, because we're going to do a drawstring casing so your tube top stays up. And then we are just going to cut our rectangle. Here we have our 2 rectangles. Pin down the sides of your shirt to later be sewn. After you're finished pinning, you're going to want to sew down the side seam of your shirt. I'm using my machine for this, but if you're doing it by hand, I would recommend doing a whip stitch. But for my machine, I'm going to use a straight stitch. And my seam allowance is going to just be the edge of the presser foot, because t-shirts stretch. And make sure you back tack. So here we go. After you've completed sewing the side seams of your shirt, we're going to make the drawstring casing, which is nothing but basically a hem across the top of your shirt. I'm making mine about 1 inch long, because that's how big I want my drawstring casing to be, and that's how much seam allowance I left myself there. So you're just going to pin around. Now that you have pinned, we are going to take it over to the sewing machine and sew. Once again, just use a straight stitch. If you are sewing this by hand, you can either use a running back stitch or just a running straight stitch. I'm using the edge of my presser foot as a seam allowance again, because that's the easiest thing for me to do. The next thing you're going to do is put the drawstring in your drawstring casing. Now this is my drawstring, it's just the bottom hem from my red t-shirt, and I cut off the stitching so it's not so bulky. And then I have it tied onto a paper clip, or you can attach it to a safety pin, whatever works. You're just going to snip 2 small slits into the front of your drawstring casing for the drawstring to enter and exit from. Just going to thread it all the way around. Alright, now that you've fed your drawstring through the casing, just tie it in a bow, and your tube top portion is finished. And now we get to move on to the skirt. Now that the tube top portion is completed of your t-shirt tutu, we are going to move on to the skirt, which is going to be a red t-shirt to match the red serial killer on my shirt. And for this, all we're going to do is cut off the shirt armpit to armpit, and then we're actually going to make a mini circle skirt. Now the next step for your skirt is going to be to turn your piece of t-shirt inside out, and then fold it in half, like so. Then we are going to take your bust measurement, mine's 38, divide that by 3.14, and then we're going to divide that number by 2. For me, that all comes out to about 6 inches. So we're going to take your tape measure, put a thumbtack through the center of the 0 end side, place that in the folded corner of your fabric, and then we're going to mark off a 6-inch quarter circle, and then we're going to measure from the thumbtack to the edge of the fabric, which is about 10.5 inches for me, and then mark off a 10.5-inch quarter circle. Now that you have your little quarter circle marked off, we're going to cut it out on the lines. And this is going to give us 2 half circles. Okay, now our next step is to pin our half circles together, right sides together, because knit does have a right and a wrong side. Now it's time to sew your skirt onto your tube top. So we're going to do right sides together. Make sure the smaller circle is the one that you're pinning to the sides, to the tube top. Matching side seams. We're going to just pin all the way around. We're just going to sew it with a straight stitch on the machine or a whip stitch on by hand. And I'm using my presser foot as my seam allowance. Alright, now we have our just about completed t-shirt tutu. As you can see, it's not very fitted, but this last step I'm going to show you will change that, and it's also going to give it one last little bit of edge, and then you can show the world. Our final step of our t-shirt tutu is going to be to insert a little corset in the back to make it fitted. And to do this, find about the middle of your shirt, and you're going to make 3 marks on either side of the middle. And then you're going to make another mark about 1 inch in from each of those marks. And here we have our set of marks, and then you're just going to snip each hole with a pair of scissors. Be careful not to snip through the other layer. Okay, now you're going to take your corset string, which is a scrap piece of fabric, ribbon, or whatever you want, and you're going to lace it through the holes which you made. I'm using a tapestry needle for this just because it's easier. And you thread it through and lace it up just like you would a shoe. So here we are outside. Your t-shirt tutu is completed. You can adjust the corset to make it tighter or looser if you want. But as a variation, you can also add straps, make it longer, wear it as a bathing suit cover up, wear it with leggings. It's kind of an all-purpose fit, and it's really cute. So this is my T-Recon t-shirt tutu. I hope you guys liked it, and thanks for watching.